He is too selfish, she said. So it was always winter there, and the north wind, and the hail, and the frost, and the snow danced about through the trees. One morning, the giant was lying awake in bed when he heard some lovely music. So one day he got very lovely music. He thought, what is that? It sounded so sweet to his ears that he thought it must be the king's musicians passing by. It was really only a little linnet singing outside his window. One bird was singing. But it was so long since he had heard a bird sing in his garden, it seemed to him to be the most beautiful music in the world. Then the hell stopped dancing over his head, and the north wind ceased roaring, and a delicious perfume came to him through the open casement. I believe the spring has come at last, said the giant. आता वाटलं giantला अरे पक्षी आले म्हणजे स्प्रिंग आला. कारण बाकीचे सगळे गायब झाले. Hell, snow, storm, wind. They went out. And he jumped out of the bed and looked. He just looked out of the window. There's selfish giant. थोडासा खिडकीमधून बाहेर बघतो. What did he see? He saw a most wonderful sight. Through a little hole in the wall, the children had crept in and they were sitting in the branches of the trees. He could see the children are sat on the branches of trees. तर मुलं फांद्यावर बसलेली आहेत. In every tree that he could see, there was a little child. प्रत्येक फांदीवर एक मुलगा बसलेला आहे. And the trees were so glad to have the children back again that they had covered themselves with blossoms and were waving their arms gently above the children's heads. The birds were flying about and twittering with delight, and the flowers were looking up through the green grass and laughing. It was a lovely scene. फार सुंदर नजारा होता. Only in one corner it was still winter. फक्त एका कोपऱ्यामध्ये अजूनही विंटर होता. बाकी सगळीकडे स्प्रिंग आलेला आहे. He was so small. There was one boy who was standing that he could not reach up to the branches of tree. तर तो फांदीवर बसू शकत नाही लहान मुलगा. And he was wandering all around it, crying bitterly. He was just making loud noise because he couldn't sit on the branch. तर त्याला झाडावर चढता येत. The poor tree was still quite covered with frost and snow, and the north wind was blowing and roaring above it. Climb up, little boy, said the tree, and it bends its branches down as low as it could, but the boy was too tired. त्याने भरपूर प्रयत्न केला फांदी वाकवायचा, पण तो सोडू शकत नव्हता कारण तो फार लहान होता. And the giant's heart melted as he looked out. How selfish I have been, he said. Now I know why the spring would not come here. Now he just understood why here it is not the spring. I will put the poor little boy on the top of the tree. मग त्याने त्या लहान मुलाला उचललं आणि फांदीवर ठेवलं. And then I will knock down the wall. आणि त्याने भिंत पण तोडली. And my garden shall be the children's playground forever and ever. He decided that there will be ground for playing, and what will be? It will be his garden. त्याने ठरवलं की आपलं गार्डन हे मुलासाठी एक मैदान असेल. He was really very sorry for what he had done. He felt very ashamed, very sorry for himself. तर स्वतःलाच वाईट वाटलं की आपण चुकीचं केलेलं आहे, मुलांना चुकीच्या पद्धतीनं वागवलेलं आहे. So he crept downstairs and opened the front door quite softly and went out into the garden. But when the children saw him, they were so frightened that they all ran. पण ज्यावेळेस तो मुलांच्या जवळ गेला त्यावेळेस सगळे मुलं पळून गेली. And the garden became winter again. परत जे काही ठिकाणी स्प्रिंग आलं होतं ते सुद्धा परत विंटर झालं. Only the little boy did not run. फक्त तो लहान मुलगा काही हलला नाही. He was there. For his eyes were so full of tears that he did not see the giant. Why he was not running? Because he couldn't see, because he was crying so much. इतका रडत होता की त्याला जायंट समोर आलेला सुद्धा दिसला नाही. त्या डोळ्यांना दिसला कारण नाही, कारण त्या डोळ्यामध्ये अश्रू होते. For his eyes were so full of tears. And the giant stole up behind him, took him gently in his hand, and put him up into the tree. तर जायंटने त्याला परत त्याला उचललं आणि झाडाच्या फांदीवर ठेवलं. And the tree broke at once into blossom, and the birds came and sang on it. And the little boy stretched out his two arms and flung them round the giant's neck and kissed him. तर त्याने त्याला जवळ घेतलं आणि किस केलं. And the other children, when they saw that the giant was not wicked any longer, बाकीचे मुलं ज्यावेळेस ते पाहतात की giant आता चांगला झालाय, he is not wicked, तो आता दुष्ट नाही. came running back, and with them came the spring. ते सुद्धा परत आले, and there was arrival of spring again. परत तो spring आलेला आहे. It is your garden now, little children, said the giant, and he took a great axe and knocked down the wall. And when the people were going to market at 12 o'clock, they found the giant playing with the children in the most beautiful garden they had ever seen. तर त्यांना हे पण दिसलेलं आहे की आतापर्यंतपेक्षा सर्वात ब्युटिफुल गार्डन हाच आहे, तर तो बदललेला आहे. All day long they played, and in the evening they came to the giant to bid him goodbye. So all played throughout the day, and evening they came back to say goodbye. But where is your little companion? He said. The boy I put into the tree. The giant loved him the best because he had kissed him. The giantला तो लहान मुलगा फार आवडला होता, ज्याने किस केलं होतं. But he didn't find him now. तो आता दिसत नाही अलीकडे. We don't know, answered the children. He has gone away. तर लहान मुलाने सांगितलं तो गेला. We don't know. आम्हाला तो माहिती नाही. You must tell him to be sure and come here tomorrow, said the giant. But the children said they did not know where he lived and had never seen him before. And the giant felt very sad. त्या मुलांनी सांगितलं की आम्ही त्याला ओळखत नाही, तो कुठे राहतो हे पण आम्हाला माहिती नाही, आम्ही त्याला पूर्वी कधी पाहिलेलं पण नाही. And giant felt very sad. त्यामुळे राक्षसाला फार वाईट वाटलं. Every afternoon when school was over, the children came and played with the giant, but the little boy whom the giant loved was never seen again. पण जो मुलगा फार आवडायचा तो येत नव्हता. The giant was very kind to all the children, yet he longed for his first little friend and often spoke of him. त्याने बऱ्याचदा त्याचं नाव घेतलं, त्याची आठवण काढली, पण तो आला नाही. How I would like to see him, he used to say. तो बऱ्याचदा म्हणायचे मला त्याला बघायचं. Years went over, and the giant grew very old and feeble. आता giant म्हातारा झाला. He became feeble, weak. तो नाजूक झाला. He could not play about anymore. आता तो खेळू शकत नव्हता. So he sat in a huge armchair. तो एक खुर्चीत बसला and watched the children and their games. तो मुलांचे खेळ पाहू लागला and admired his garden. I have many beautiful flowers, he said, but the children are the most beautiful flowers of all. तो म्हणायचा माझ्या बागेमध्ये सुंदर फुलं आहेत, पण सर्वात सुंदर कोण आहेत? मुलं आहेत. ते फुलापेक्षा मुलं फार सुंदर आहे. One winter morning he looked out of his window as he was dressing. He did not hate the winter now, for he knew that it was merely the spring asleep and that the flowers were resting. Suddenly he rubbed his eyes in wonder and looked. तर अचानक तो एक दिवशी बघतच राहिला, काहीतरी सरप्राइजिंग झालं. It certainly was a marvelous sight. In the farthest corner of the garden was a tree quite covered with lovely white blossoms. सगळीकडे ब्लॉसम झालेले. Its branches were all golden. सगळीकडे गोल्डन ब्रांचेस झालेले आहेत. And silver fruit hung down from them, and underneath it stood the little boy he had loved. त्याच झाडाखाली जो आवडता मुलगा होता तोच येऊन बसलेला. Downstairs ran the giant in great joy. Out in the garden he had turned across the grass and came near to the child, and when he came quite close, his face grew tired with anger. He said, Who had dared to wound thee? Who has made you injured? तुला कोण त्रास दिला? कोण मारलं? For on the palms of the child's hands were the prints of 2 nails. त्याच्या हातावर जे होते, 2 हातावर nails, कोणीतरी खिळे ठोकले होते. And the prints of 2 nails were on the little feet, and पायावर सुद्धा 2 खिळे होते. Who had dared to wound thee? Cried the giant. Tell me, that I may take my big sword and slay him. कोण केले ते मला सांग, मी त्याचा बदला घेईन, त्याला मारून टाक. I will kill that person. No, answered the giant, but these are the wounds of love. So the boy said, It is not the wound of revenge, but it is the wound of love. तर हे प्रेमाची जखम आहे. Who art thou? Who are they? Said the giant, and a strange awe fell on him, and he knelt before the little child. Who are you? What are you saying? What are these magical words you say? तू कोण आहे? You are not a child. Tell me, who are you? And the child smiled on the giant. आणि लहान मुलगा इतका त्रास होऊन सुद्धा तो हसत होता. He was smiling at the giant and said to him, You let me play once in your garden today, You shall come with me to my garden which is paradise. तू मला फक्त एकदा खेळायला परवानगी दिली ना, I will take you to my garden which is paradise, जे की स्वर्ग आहे. After they found the giant lying dead under the tree, all covered with white blossoms. तर सगळे मुलं ज्यावेळेस दुपारी परत गार्डन मध्ये आले, ते फाउंड द जायंट लाइंग अँड डेड अंडर द ट्री. त्यांनी बघितलं की जायंट झोपलेला आहे, पण त्याला लक्षात आलं की नंतर ही इज नॉट स्लेप्ट बट ही इज डेड नाव, ऑल कवर्ड विथ व्हाईट ब्लॉसम. तो मेलेला आहे. सो हियर द चाइल्ड रेफर्स टू Christ, Jesus Christ. So selfish giant has been converted, has been changed, has been transformed into selfless giant. Here ends the story.